Hey everyone, how is it going? We're in for a treat today. I hope that I'm able to get through a decent amount of my information that I have today on energy healing, but I feel kind of crappy today. I woke up feeling shitty, so we'll see how I feel. If I don't, if I don't end up feeling good in like half an hour or so, I'm probably just gonna like call it a day and then continue either midweek or just finish everything up next week. Um, but yeah, I think I was even there's a day that I was planning on doing like a shorter impromptu stream, but I also wasn't feeling well that day either. So hopefully I can kick whatever's going on. It's like some type of cold situation happening here. But I hope that it goes well. Hey, what's up? It's good to have you here. Um, So yeah, I know that you asked about this, and so we're going to be talking all about energy healing today. And like I said, I'm pretty excited. Let's see how far we get today. Um, I'm feeling myself a little bit. I made a PowerPoint, so because I feel like this is the best way to get through all of this information because there's so much. Um, but yeah, let's get started. Okay, we're gonna dive right in. So I guess before we're gonna go through like what energy healing is. We're gonna talk about like how it works in terms of like on a spiritual level, how it works on a scientific level. We're gonna talk about research, evidence-based research. Um, we're gonna talk about some of the risks, some of the benefits, and kind of yeah, try to see if we can come up with a stance maybe, and I feel like we might end up at different places and that's totally fine. But yeah, so what is energy healing? That's a good question. You can also share what you think energy healing is if you want to share in the comments or anything. But basically energy healing is the practice of using life force energy to heal oneself or another person. You can also use energy healing to heal plants, animals, the land. You can use it on homes, bedrooms, devices, cars. Like there are unlimited ways that a person can use energy healing. Uh, so when I talk about the whole energy thing, there are several different forms of energy, right? Um, you can uh, you can see, like I looked at, there's a couple of different titles here. Like you have chi, prana, kundalini, vital force, ether, material force, breath, spirit, capacity, which is interesting because I feel like capacity actually represents like the scientific definition of energy, because energy in a scientific sense is the capacity for something to do work. But yeah, vitality, strength, power, potential. But these words like chi, prana, kundalini, you also like there's chi that's spelled chi, and then there's ki, which is the qi. I believe one is Japanese, maybe. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, so like I said, it really does claim to treat tons of different conditions. You can see like lots of different things, increased energy levels, balancing your chakras, personal growth, all of these different things that energy healing claims to, I don't know what you would say. What's that word? Help, heal, whatever. And another thing that's important to mention is like the claims can be very, very different. You can have people who will be like, this is kind of like, a supportive thing to kind of help clear out your energy. Thank you for that. Okay. Chi is Japanese and ki is Chinese. Thank you for that clarification. Um, so you have a lot of different ranges. You'll have some people who don't really make a lot of claims. Like this is maybe just kind of can help you with your energy, can help kind of bring on a feeling of relaxation. And then you have people on the other end of the spectrum who are like, you can use this to heal cancer. You can use this to cure like autism, depression, like anything. So yeah, that's what makes it really difficult, I guess, to kind of pin down all of energy healing into like one definition, because not only do different modalities have different, I guess, claims, within each modality, the claims can be varied depending on each person. Even in the system of Reiki, you know that you have the traditional like Usui Reiki, I believe that's the traditional one. And then people have kind of, I don't always want to say like, yeah, they have kind of changed it, and people can take Reiki and kind of turn it into something else. And then they'll teach that form of Reiki. And it happens with other forms of energy healing as well. It's also, I also think, I'm not sure where. Okay. So I also wanted to write out this list because there are so many different forms or kinds of things that are claimed as energy healing or energy medicine. And this was a list from quackwatch.com. I just felt like it had a lot of things that I even forgot about. So vibrational medicine, which is energetic medicine. So when I talked about the energy, a lot of people will say like they'll use the term energy and vibration synonymously. So that's why I kind of thought that this was a useful kind of definition. It's the healing philosophy whose main tenet is that humans are dynamic energy systems, right? Humans are dynamic energy systems. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So we have like our mind, body, spirit. We have kind of our body. We have our more spiritual self. They're kind of these separate entities, but at the same time, they all work together. They reflect evolutionary patterns of what's called soul growth that can depend on, right, different things for different modalities and systems. So these systems coordinate life force energy and the physical body. And the other thing to mention is that these things typically believe that health and illness both originate within our energy body. So if there's something wrong in our energy body, it will become reflected in my physical body. For example, right, this is a perfect example. I woke up with like a cough, cold situation. And according to energy medicine, what that means is there's probably something going on underneath the surface, underlying, emotionally, energetically, that is off balance. And now my body is reflecting that. Right. Okay. So there are different things, like you said, acupuncture, right? Aromatherapy. Some of these I've never heard of before. Batch flower therapy, I've never heard of that. Chakra rebalancing is pretty common. Channeling, which I wouldn't really consider an energy medicine, really, but interesting. Color breathing, color therapy, crystal healing, absent healing, which I don't know what that is. Electroacupuncture, which I'm guessing is just acupuncture with electricity. Etheric touch. I'm not going to read all of these. I got bored. I thought I was going to read them, and no, I'm bored. But yeah, a lot of these are all kind of in here. And yeah, I think I won't talk about all of these things, but things that are especially interest me are things like psychic surgery. I think that's on your list. Where is that? Psychic surgery. You see it down here at the bottom. So, and I don't think my head is covering it in the screen, so never mind. But take my word for it. Yeah. So things like psychic surgery. There's also like crystal surgery. Guys, there's so much. Some of these are more legitimate than others. Some of them, I will say, I believe psychic surgery is like a really big fraudulent thing where like they'll use their hands to like dig in your body, and then like blood will just like form out of nowhere. And like people will be like, wow, how is this happening? But it's like some type of like or like a magic trick kind of like stage production thing, which also which unfortunately kind of goes hand in hand with a lot of like god men or people who just proclaim themselves as kind of like magical spiritual beings or extra special magical beings or whatever. Even through history, there's kind of evidences of people being a little bit sneaky with the magic tricks that they did or the miracles that they performed. But that's for another day. And I think we're going to talk about different forms of energy healing next. So yeah, this one is a good example. I've obviously mentioned a bunch of them before, but some other ones, obviously Reiki healing, even Qigong is definitely considered a healing. movement practice, which is quite enjoyable, actually. I do enjoy like the practice of Qigong. Pranic healing, which is just another form of energy healing, theta healing, quantum healing, crystal healing. I'm not really going to go too much in detail. If you want to read them, you can totally, you can't pause it now because you're watching this live, but if you're watching this on a replay, you could pause to read everything here. This quantum healing stuff makes me probably the most annoyed, just because it's really dishonest, and it's like foundations are really dishonest. But I actually I don't know. I don't even know if we're gonna get to that in this talk at all. Like the whole quantum stuff. We might do that another day. Okay. All right. So now we're gonna talk a little bit about how energy healing works. So first, we want to talk about the spirit. Sorry. First, we want to talk about the spiritual mechanisms by which this works. So all of this stuff is made possible by the practice of vitalism. So vitalism is the doctrine that that processes of life are not explicable by the laws of physics and chemistry alone, that life is in some part self-determining. This is super important. If you have conversations with anyone and you hear them talk, sorry, I'm like trying to fix some stuff on my computer screen. Okay. Yeah, they'll talk oftentimes they'll be like, it's impossible. It's impossible for science to explain all of life. Consciousness cannot have arisen from the brain alone. Like, we pretty much the argument ends up being, my life feels so real. The fact that I can touch something and have this experience feels so crazy to me that I cannot believe that I am just a bunch of chemical signals being shot off. And that just you you can just say that if you want, but it doesn't change the fact that it's real, right? So if someone just like the flat earth, in my opinion, is kind of like the flat earthers, you're just denying what science has already found. We've done the research, the earth is round, right? So we've done the research, consciousness arises from the brain. Right. There might be other things that we might find out in the future, but who knows? But right now, for what we know, for what we can guarantee, this is what we can say with confidence. And when people say other things with confidence, I'm like, I don't know where you're getting this from. That's kind of the whole thing. All right. So I obviously left this up here, so hopefully you guys are checking this out. I just said that. Yeah, this is because life is more than just a set of chemical reactions. Vitalism forces man to acknowledge that there is a power greater than just himself, and that it's really important to understand that when people kind of assign themselves to this practice of vitalism, saying that it can't just be material, then what the other option is that it's metaphysical. This manifests in so many different forms. Some people believe that life is all a simulation. That kind of also has some metaphysical overtones to it. Lots of other things as well. All right. So the what's that called? Spiritual folks basically believe that, like I said before, everything is foundationally based off of energy, and because energy is everything, right? That's how healing is supposed to work. I didn't want to just have my own voice say some of this. I also wanted you guys to hear from people who, from what I know, are still engaging in these practices right now. I don't. Maybe we'll talk about that later. My opinion, maybe even next episode, depending on how far we get today. But yeah, here we're gonna hear from someone else, and learn how spiritual folks get from everything's energy and energy healing, and then they start doing things they start pulling science, they start pulling from science and start saying, here's the scientific evidence that backs up this claim. But then when you tell them that science says something else, they're like, no, I don't want to listen to the science, you're a materialist. It's really interesting how this stuff happens. But all right, so we're gonna check this out together.
Brought to you by Natural Healer. www.naturalhealer.com.au. All rights reserved.
We speed it up here, guys.
For those of you who get my play on words with the 1981 Journey song called Don't Stop Believing. Brought to you by Natural Healer. This is a very catchy chorus. If you want to skip past the video, though, you're more than welcome. So why am I all excited about taking you on a Reiki journey into energy healing? Because with each day I live on this earth, I learn something more amazing and new, which backs up the healing work I myself and so many other beautiful healers do every day. And today's another day, so sit tight. Things are about to get uber exciting. Well, I believe that energy is...
So I hope that I can just play. Fuck me. This is awful, guys. Sorry, I'm swearing so much. I thought I could pause it, like
brought to you by
pressing that pause
Natural
button,
Healer
but it's not letting me.
every day. And today's another...
Okay, so I just have to do that. Sorry about that, guys. So she was like, I am so excited because every day science is proving energy medicine being effective. Let's see what this science is. I did it again. I did it again, guys. This is what happens when this is a new format for me on this.
Amazing and new, which backs up the healing work I myself and so many other beautiful healers do every day. And today's another day, so sit tight. Things are about to get uber exciting. Well, I believe that...
Guys, I love you for being here and supporting me in my work because I'm about to
exciting. Well, I believe that energy is energy, so it doesn't matter what the medium is. A trained healer can use energy to help others heal. To further explain what I mean, let's compare the way people heal to the way people learn. Everybody does it differently, and everybody processes it differently. Some people learn better visually, while others prefer kinesthetic learning, and still others prefer auditory learning. Same for healing. Some respond better to Reiki, while others may get a benefit from emotional freedom technique, while some have great results just from meditation. So whether a healer uses Reiki, pranic healing, shamanic healing, or any other form of natural energy healing, what I feel and what I teach to my students is that the most important element in healing others is the intention. When a healer comes from a place of love, that intention is loaded with pure goodness, and it goes straight to the recipient with great effect. But since I'm a healer myself, it makes sense that I profess that energy healing works. However, I realize skeptics will roll their eyes and think I'm a quack, but don't be hasty now. I am a natural Reiki master healer.
She's not wrong. She's not wrong. But I'm going to pause really quick just to let you guys know that, like, basically in all of New Age teaching, the concept of your intention just being a really big deal is a constant theme. I think in all of life, your intention is maybe a pretty big deal, like without being spiritual. Hold on. Ooh. Okay. But yeah, I just think it's an important part of energy healing. You got to make sure you come in with the right intentions. If you come in with the right intentions, you will be effective in your practice.
Healer, but I also love science. Well, the science which is open-minded in order to find the truth. So,
did you hear that? She loves science, but only science that's open-minded enough to find the truth. And I think that this is an important part for me to pause because and I know this because I had these misconceptions when I believed this stuff. I believed that like science was a little bit rigid. They were closed-minded and all this stuff. But turns out I just didn't understand science at all. And this comes from a lot of my educational gaps that I've gotten because I went through all of my schooling, college included, without learning anything about the reality of like our universe and where it came from and how everything works. I had to learn that stuff very recently, like literally less than 6 months ago, I understood how evolution actually works. And I was like, wow, wow. Anyway, science is open-minded by definition. That's how we've gotten here. It's religion that's closed-minded and kills people when they don't like the information. At least we don't typically do that as much now. Now people will just ignore it. Back in the day, it was more of the type of stuff.
So I ask the fence sitters and the naysayers in the audience to stick with me for just a little while longer. I'm going to give you something to really think about shortly. Well, firstly, let's combine the scientific truth that we're all energy with the fact that the words you say or think to yourself and to others affects us physically. And before I go any further, that right there is the basis of how one can use their own energy to change their own physiology or someone else's with mere words. But what about that intention thing I mentioned earlier? Well, enter stage left, the brilliant writer and leader in health and spirituality, Lynn McTaggart. Let me fill you in a bit. McTaggart isn't a willy-nilly wordsmith trying desperately to connect the dots between science and spirituality. She has interviewed, formed relationships, and conducted experiments with some of our world's top and most respected scientists. And she's come out with a doozy in one of her books. And that's Intention Has the Power to Heal. My trump card for this post has been pulled from her amazing book, The Intention Experiment, where it's revealed that trained healers do in fact generate a magnetic field which affects the person or thing they're focused on, and that with healing, distance appeared to be irrelevant. So, energy healing.
Okay, so she said a lot of things here that I like that aren't really backed by science, like the idea. Okay, she did say something that's true. We like the fact that we're all made of energy is technically true. Energy is kind of the base form of life. You know, everything is made up of it technically, and therefore they're correct. We are technically all connected by the fact that we're made up of all the same stuff. Like that stuff is true by nature of reality. But saying that like our words and thoughts can affect our bodies and things like that, yes sometimes, but I don't know if I want to like be married to that as much as I think she is going to be. But let's see what experiment is going on, and let's see what she has to say about this.
It does work, even at a distance. But let me go into a little more detail to back this revelation up. McTaggart includes many studies in her book, including one from the professor of psychology, medicine, neurology, psychiatry, and surgery at the University of Arizona, as well as being the director of its Laboratory for Advances in Consciousness and Health. What a title! Dr. Gary Schwartz. And his postdoctoral colleague, Melinda Connor. Their studies focused on healing, which included a group of Reiki practitioners as well as a control group of untrained healers. McTaggart reported that they took measurements near each hand of all the healers during alternating periods while they were running energy, and then during times they were at rest with their eyes closed. They also took a group of master healers with a substantial track record for successful dramatic healings and took measurements for them too. A series of tests were performed, and when Schwartz and Connor analyzed their data from the healers, they discovered that both groups of healers demonstrated significant fluctuations and very low pulsations of magnetic field emanating from both of their hands. As a Reiki master teacher myself, it was great to read that a huge increase in oscillations was measured in the healers' magnetic fields when they were running energy, or what I would refer to as performing Reiki, with the most notable surge coming from their dominant hands. Now, Schwartz and Connor could not get the control group to demonstrate the same energetic effects as the trained healers. And what's more exciting is the enormous difference Schwartz saw when he reviewed the effects from the standard healing group to the masters. The master healers averaged close to a third more magnetic field changes per minute than the Reiki healers. So, what's that say? The more one practices, the stronger one's healing energy becomes. Now, through their barrage of testing, Schwartz and Connor confirmed that they had proof that directed intention manifests as both electrostatic and magnetic energy. But they also discovered that intention was like playing the piano. You need to learn how to do it first, and then some people are better with others, and you improve with practice.
Okay, so really intense, like pretty large claims. Basically that like humans are able to like project detectable energy from our hands or the heart, I believe, which I think it would be really interesting if like, this were an accurate assessment. Darn it, I think that I forgot to, I hold on. My computer's doing something weird. Okay. I did forget, I think, to put in the article that she's talking about specifically. Right. But it's an old research. It's old research, and there was a newer form of research conducted. And I believe that I have the new article that we're going to look at later. But let's finish this out, see if she has anything else important to say.
And here's the cake topper. Distance does not matter to an energy healer. In a successful study of AIDS patients, they improved through remote healing, and the 40 healers involved in the study sent the healing to the San Francisco patients from all across America. Now, can you see why I'm so excited to share this post with you today? Everybody, and I mean everybody, has the ability to heal themselves and others. Once you learn the techniques, be they through my own online Reiki Master Certification course, a pranic healing school, theta healing, crystal healing, it doesn't matter. You just need to get started and continue to practice. You will.
I would say that's pretty good. We'll stop there. And we'll stay on this pretty picture because I like it. I think it's a good example. It's a good depiction of kind of the human energy field. So we'll leave that up as I chit chat about that video a little bit more. But yeah, like, also, if you didn't hear that last part, she just casually slipped in that Reiki can apparently help improve AIDS, which is a pretty big deal. Did everyone miss that? Like, why after that research study didn't Reiki like explode and then every doctor like start doing it intensely to their patients, right? Because like if it was actually that effective, why wasn't? There's just so many other things. There's so many other possibilities for like why the people can be improving. It's just this stuff is hard to prove anyway. And you guys also might be surprised at like my end position on this, but it doesn't matter, right? you have to understand that like this energy healing stuff, I think that there's definitely something that's going on, but like we can't just like make claims and just make bogus claims. And I think that a lot of times like scientists also do this as well. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when I get to the research section of this. All right. So like I said, this is just like a depiction of the human energy field. This pretty thing on the ground there is called Metatron's cube, which is just really pretty. I love to draw sacred geometry. This is kind of a torus of light, torus field of light. And I'll show you a couple more. Here's like the chakra systems. These are all kind of aspects of energy medicine. You have the 7 main chakras. You have crown, third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus, sacral, and root chakra. They all have different functions, all have different purposes. I should have also pulled the energy wheels. I think from the more like the chi related centers, you have kind of just like, I think they're called the dantians or something like that. So you have kind of like your lower and upper and different things like that. So different systems can have different names for these like fields of energy within the human body. And there's a couple more that I think I have down here. Meridians are also an important aspect of energy healing. Acupuncture uses this, I think. And also I, when I took my energy healing course, I'm a trained energy healer too. I forgot to mention that. I just don't practice. Anyway, right. So meridians can be important as well. And then this is the aura. This is one version of the aura. Obviously, people have different explanations of it. You can see that people will say that the aura has different layers. And then this one shows that the aura almost looks like a pod or an egg. And this one is apparently like a good aura. And this one is like a dirty aura, right? There are, this one has balance. This one you can see looks muddy, and you can tell not as good as the other one. And what I also wanted to do is, hey,
you're more than welcome.
I hope I didn't like mess this up somehow. Okay, so I really quickly, I hope, oh darn. Let me make sure that I just can keep that up. Well, that's there so that doesn't mess up. That might actually end up messing up later. I'm not sure. We'll see. Hopefully this works. But I wanted to share with you, and I am just gonna make my picture the center while I talk about this. Come on, dude. All right. So I'm gonna walk you through how to facilitate an energy healing session. I just think that this will be useful. Like I said, I learned how to do energy healing, and I think that I don't know. I don't think that it's a bad idea to learn about this kind of stuff. I'm the type of skeptic that thinks that we should try things out for ourselves and try to see what's going on, try our own little experiments. I think that like I obviously like rely on people who actually do this stuff for a living. I put myself in like an appropriate position. I don't kind of like say that I have more expertise than I do, but that doesn't mean I'm not curious about stuff and I want to just mess around with things. I don't think that there's a problem with that. All right, so I'm just gonna like tell you a little bit about what makes a good energy healing session. And so you're gonna need a couple of different like tools and stuff that'll help you conduct a really effective session. So you can have tools, things like pendulums. I wish I brought stuff with me, and I didn't bring anything. I could have brought my stuff with me. Anyway, pendulums, oracle cards, or tarot cards. People can also use those as well. People will use herbs for smudging, not smudging, because that's like a specific practice for another whatchamacallit, discipline, maybe, whatever. More like energy or smoke cleansing is another word to use for that. People will use like holy water or some type of like divine liquid to spray around. That sounds awful. Singing bowls, which I do have one of those over there. Cushions, massage tables, anything like that. Salt water is also something that's used. Empty bowls, I think, if you're doing like pranic healing, crystals, tissues, like to help if they cry or have some type of emotional release. It's really important that before you conduct a session, um, at least this is what I learned when you conduct an energy healing session, that you want to cleanse the space that you're in. So if we're going to cleanse this room, I would start by using some type of visualization to cleanse the room of energy, of the negative energy or something like that. Or maybe some chanting or something like that as well. Then candles are also really good for kind of like purifying the energy or setting atmosphere, depending on what you want to call it. Using herbs to cleanse the space, meditating to get yourself in a really good spot emotionally, having some salt water is like they use salt as a really common cleanser in a lot of spiritual practices as well. And then also there's practical things, like we were taught that it's really important to wash your hands before and after every session, to kind of like energetically clear yourself of the person's energy, so you didn't like kind of carry it around with you. And that's another thing. This like so-called spiritual energy or vibes has the capacity to kind of like attach itself to other people, which is an interesting thing, right? And the thing about like when you talk about energy, like since like there's no definitions, you can really just come up with whatever you want. Yeah. So oh, another really important aspect of energy healing, and this is one that I don't think that was mentioned yet, but you have to ask for permission. You have to ask permission for the person to receive the healing, and they have to agree with it. If you go online and you check out anyone who maybe they'll do, if you see any of this healing message is for you, and I like do the crystals over your like camera like this, and they like pluck stuff and like do this crystal plucking and everything. And then you'll see on the screen that'll say yes to receive. You know, like you have to say yes. You have to, the person who's receiving it has to believe in it, has to believe like, yes, I received this healing, which I think which is interesting because that technically can get a person off of the hook. Like you also will see this in more Christian forms of spiritual energy healing, where they'll say things like, you know, the power, if Jesus, or rather, if, you know, if you didn't get healed, then your faith was too small. I think in more Reiki related circles, I don't think you hear as much of that. But in different energy healing circles, you hear a lot of blaming the victim stuff. There's a lot of visualization involved in pretty much all of spiritual practice. So when I talk about how imagination is important, like imagination is really important. I think imagination is the one place where science can't say anything to you. Like there's no limits to what can happen in your mind. And that is kind of one of the more incredible things about human beings. What makes us really special, I think, is the fact that we can have these like incredible experiences. Our imagination is convincing, right? I think this is important. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm grateful for my time in New Age spirituality, because it reminded me how to get in touch with kind of that imaginative side of myself, these inner voyages that I was able to take. Like those, I think that those are really valuable. Anyway, a lot of times though, they'll want you to do some types of prayer or things before you do the energy healing session as well. And then pretty much during the session, you're like, how does one channel energy? How do you do this? Channeling energy is like the easiest thing in the world, right? All it is visualization and intention. So when you're energy healing, especially if you're, you know, learning this for real, you don't want to channel energy just through yourself. You want to make sure that you're channeling energy from the earth or from the universe. So basically, like I said, this is all visualization based. So you would just visualize energy of any kind coming through the earth, kind of up into your heart, and from the sky down into your heart. You can imagine it kind of mixing together and like coming through your hands, This is a loving energy, right? This is a, personally for me, and I think it's also a common practice in some more indigenous cultures, that like the skies are maybe a more like the masculine archetype is more of the skies, that like, I don't know, power or something like that comes from above, and then the earth is more of like a nurturing type of an energy, receiving, creative, also powerful and destructive, like, don't get me wrong. So imagine these two types of energy mixing together in your heart. This is like, it's supposed to be super powerful, right? That's how you run energy. If you start to get really good at doing this type of visualization, you will feel stuff in your hands. Like, I shit you not. You will feel stuff going on in your hands. And this is weird to me. I'm like, I don't know why that happens. I don't know what it means. I don't know, like, I don't understand why this is a part of something. That's something that I'm trying to research. Like, why, if energy isn't, if like spiritual energy is just kind of like mumbo jumbo, like, why do I feel it so much? So, yeah. So that it's a real thing that you feel in your hands. I don't know if it's just like imagination or some type of like physical hallucination that you've taught yourself to do over time. I really don't know what that is. Um, but it happens. Right, yeah. Uh, and then also the other thing that you do is you kind of like sweep the aura, all of that stuff. And that salt water bowl, you would like, like visually throw it into that bowl. And other healing practices, you would kind of visualize like a fire in the corner of the room and throw the energy into the fire to be kind of transmuted. But don't forget to put the fire out afterwards. What do you say, dude, for? Dude, what? Dude, I don't know what that's about. But yeah, see, yes, right. I don't know what it is either. I don't know what it is. And I don't understand it. I know that it's a thing that I feel. Me and my wife did Reiki training together. So we have both felt it. It is a real thing that you feel, right? Um, and especially like, okay, because I watched this video of this skeptic guy going to Reiki, and he was just laying there the whole time, like, this is stupid, and this is whatever, and this is just a fake thing. Um, but since when I first learned it, I was like really believing it. Like, I felt, you feel something, and like, I'll do, yeah, yeah. Weird shit happens. Weird shit happens in when spiritual stuff happens. And just because, and that's the thing, I'm at the place now where I'm like, just because I don't understand it doesn't mean that I get to just say that it's magical. Like, I would love to. I love magical thinking. My brain does really well with magical thinking. But at the same time, it puts me in like a bad spot mentally. And then I'm kind of detached from reality. And then nobody wants that. Well, I don't want it anymore. Okay. So yeah, you want to make sure you do all of that stuff, make sure the person, and then after you go through all of those different chakras and everything, you want to keep your hands there, and like, you kind of like you feel the energy going into like, you feel stuff happening, and then you'll feel the energy stop when it's like done. And this is a thing that happens. So whatever. Yeah. I didn't do this a ton. I've only done it to like two people in real life. Um and like myself a ton. But so yeah, I'm not like a real practiced professional or anything like that. Um anyway, okay. So, and then you would just complete the session, and that's it. So, um so basically, you are now certified to be an energy healer. Pretty much that's all you need. Like, obviously I lied. There's more stuff going on, in terms of, what I learned in my energy healing class. There's so much stuff. There's so much stuff to learn, um, within the system. Just kind of like Christianity, like, there's so much stuff to learn when it's not just there's so many things. So for me, it really felt like I was kind of diving into this whole new world fulfilled with all of these other possibilities. It was crazy. Um, And yeah, like electromagnetism stuff, like we do have, like, our bodies technically have some type of magnetic electrical system in them. Definitely not like the type of where it was like Franz Mesmer, where you can like use magnets over the body to like move shit around, because that's obviously was not founded. But like I said, there are things that we don't understand still, and we're allowed to speculate. I think that within skepticism, I think you're allowed to speculate, to speculate. You're allowed to speculate about things. But I am never going to say like this is the truth. I practice doing energy healing. I felt tingling in my hand, and therefore it is true. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say I had this experience and it is effective for me, and I enjoy doing it, and it is a private, personal thing for me, and everyone else can make their own choices. All right, so that's all of that. All right, so we're gonna head back. We're gonna head back in and talk about, now we're gonna get into the realities, benefits, and all that stuff. Okay. So, all right, okay. Here we go. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the benefits and claims of Reiki. Hey, Deej, what's up? It's good to see you. So now we're going to talk about some of the benefits and claims of Reiki. So it's pretty, there's a lot of things that Reiki makes claims about. I'm like, this is small on my screen, so I have to lean in a little bit to see. Okay, so like healing the crown chakra can help you release sexual fears. It can help you with your self-control, even your capacity to hear other people. It can help you with decisiveness, help you with letting go of life experiences, helping you receive love, deal with rage and shame, helping you kind of deal with your issues, helping you heal from your fear of living. Like, these are pretty great. Like, if I could just go in, hop in for a real quick Reiki session and come out with all of these benefits in a couple sessions, I'm down for that. Right? So there's a lot of different claims. Boosted immunity, and I've kind of put all of different energy healing claims. Like I mentioned before, you have wide ranges. Some people will believe things like, it's just good, it's good for your immunity, better quality sleep, these little things get better, increase self-confidence. And like, these are very similar claims to like vitamin supplements that they sell and things like that. Like, you can't make a lot of those hard claims because sometimes they don't really have the evidence to back it up. So they make these kind of like generic things. It can kind of help with your immune system and whatever, your sleep and blah, blah, blah. And I think that's really because what Reiki does is it just helps you get relaxed. Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself with research, and I don't want to spoil the research by talking about it too early. So, and this is pranic healing, a couple of different benefits here. Look, this one even says bringing down body temperature, which is one of those things. Healing of coughs and colds, asthma, migraines, major illnesses like eye, kidney, and heart problems can be relieved in just a few sessions. God damn it! If I can go for I woke up with a cold. Can I have some of that pranic healing for that? No, but basically, so like I said, there's a large range of claims, from like you can feel a little bit better to you can literally cure heart disease. Like, that's crazy. And I don't think that it said cured, it just says relieved. So maybe that, and also things like self-esteem, better memory and concentration. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Okay, and this one too. This one's quantum healing, goodness gracious. Hold on. Goodness freaking. Okay, that was my wife is probably calling me because I called her and I can't answer because I'm in the middle of this live stream. So hopefully she'll be okay. Okay. Because I literally, yeah. Damn it. I'm gonna have to email her. So while I talk about this and email my wife so that she doesn't freak out about why I called her, quantum, like this is just a quantum hypnosis technique as well. So like there's lots of benefits that you can see here um, on the screen as well. Lots of things like you can like release your karma, help heal your family line. Some of the claims that I have a pretty big problem with are the ones that are related to things like trauma, and telling people that they can heal their trauma with things. But I don't really think that's accurate anymore. Um, it's a just called asking for cold. Okay, so make sure my wife doesn't. Okay, all right. Okay. Sorry that the live stream is coming in and out. Hopefully, it's not too bad over on your side. Thanks for joining in. All right. So these are just some of the claims. There's a lot of different things that they claim. And like I said, sometimes the other thing is that if you don't believe the thing, then you won't find the healing. So sometimes, like you can get the people who are like, "Oh, well, it didn't work for you because you were resisting the healing, or you didn't believe enough." You get a lot of these, like I said, in what is that called? You get a lot of these in like more Christian type of healing circles. All right. I think that now, all right. So now we're going to get into a little bit of the research. Yes, we are talking about definitely the placebo effect being in effect here. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. All right. So I hope that you guys can like zoom in a little bit to see some of these things. But we heard from that woman who said earlier in that video that it definitely, we can measure the hands and hearts of Reiki practitioners and we can feel the magnetic field from them. And unfortunately, when they redid this research study, they did not find that that had actually happened. The research that they did before was pretty old, and they used more sensitive equipment than was available when the original study was done, and they didn't find uh, measurable, I guess, what is that called? Electromagnetic stuff coming out of the people. So you can see the trial data for anyone in one of these conditions are scarce, and independent replications are not available for each condition, which is kind of makes a lot of sense. If you just say, "Oh, I'm going to try energy healing for a bunch of different people for a bunch of different conditions," it's a little bit trickier for sure. And then, in conclusion, the evidence is insufficient to suggest that Reiki is an effective treatment for any condition. Therefore, the value of Reiki remains unproven. So it doesn't say that Reiki is stupid and Reiki isn't valuable. It says that the effects and the value of Reiki is unproven, right? So I think that is like the most honest, skeptical position to be at. Like, you don't know. Basically, there's no proof. And here's another article. Oh, wait, did I lose the other one? I lost the other article. I don't know where it is. Maybe I'll find it. Maybe I'll find it later. Oh crap. Oh no, this is it. Okay, good. Oh, this was the second one. This was the first article. Sorry, y'all. I was a little bit all over the place. Motherfuck. Guys, this is my first time using this, so I appreciate you being patient with me. Okay, so the study objective was to determine whether Reiki increases the electromagnetic field from the heart and hands of Reiki practitioners. And then down here in the conclusions, practicing Reiki does not appear to routinely produce high intensity electromagnetic fields from the heart or hands. Alternatively, it is possible that energy healing is stimulated by tuning into an external environmental radiation, such as the Schumann resonance, which was blocked in the present study by a strong magnetic shielding surrounding the squid, which I'm pretty sure means that they think that in the original study that they did, that the measuring tools might have been picking up other things that were being released. But since they used some better, I guess, electromagnetic shielding going on, surrounding the squid, which is the instrument that was used for this experiment, then it was a little bit, I think, more, they were able to get more clear results. And then the second one, they looked at a bunch of clinical trials to see the different conditions and stuff for Reiki. And then, like I read earlier, we can't prove the value or benefits. And I also had someone last episode who asked me specifically about solfeggio frequencies, and I wanted to make sure that I brought that up in this live stream. So just as a suggestion, if you're here and you have questions for me, I am open on Instagram at Math Magic. You can reach out to me for sure. And I've already done a couple of videos based on people's suggestions. So like I said, I think I said last time that I kind of thought that solfeggio frequencies had some kind of, valid thing to them, because I know that our human beings, we react to sounds in different ways. We react differently to different frequencies. I know for a fact that there are frequencies that can be played that can induce things like nausea and like really bad feelings in people. As like a neurodivergent person, I know how certain frequencies affect me. I like just really small sounds that maybe other people might not notice, like I can notice, and then they really affect my mood and things like that. You can see, like I said on the screen, all of the different benefits that you can see from all of using these different frequencies and listening to them and things like that. But it basically, when I did research on it, it was found out to be kind of like not really a verifiable system necessarily. The numbers were derived from kind of like numerology and not really from any type of like scientific thing. The concept, I'm reading from rationalwiki.com, by the way. The concept hijacks and misapplies terminology, including the name from the solfeggio music education method, but other than that, it has nothing in common with it. So solfeggio is another term that's used, but they just try to kind of, maybe they grabbed onto it to see if they could get it more validity to their system. But yeah, there are lots of other claims just about how these frequencies were sacred and they're just kind of forgotten frequencies, that humans use to help liberate us from who knows what, whatever. Basically, it's nothing that we can kind of substantiate with science. While saying that, I will also be the first one to admit that pretty much like every night I listen to like binaural beats or like frequency type music because it's really relaxing to me. I enjoy it. So that's what I mean. I think that you can be skeptical about things and take things that are beneficial and enjoy them if you want to. All right, let's see. I forget what slides are coming up because I forget what I was doing. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about why energy healing works. Now we understand a little bit more of the how, but why? Like why do people feel things? Why do people get better? It does work for people sometimes, right? Yeah, it works sometimes, but why? And when you look into things, just like River said earlier, we have things like the placebo effect. And I don't know if you guys can read all of this, but I'm gonna do my best to, because I think that this is such a great graphic. I'm just making it bigger, so it might be looking funny on your screen. But I'm gonna read not all of this, but quite a bit of it, because I think that it's super interesting. So this is basically the magic of placebos. Many researchers believe that placebos work through a process known as conditioning, where patients expect relief when they take medication. The classic case involves Dr. Ivan Pavlov in his research with the digestion of dogs. He noticed that dogs salivated when they heard a bell with or without the presence of food. In the case of people and placebos, the bell is the medicine, or the Reiki, or the energy healing, or the crystal healing, or sound healing, or what is perceived to be the medicine, like I said earlier, and the response is relief from the symptoms. So some conditions that have been known to respond to the placebos, things like Parkinson's, which I would say is a pretty significant disease, anxiety, mild to moderate depression, IBS, asthma, and different forms of pain, have all been found to be benefited by placebo, which is incredible, right? Like, I think that people who poo-poo the placebo effect are not smart. Um, yeah, they're just I just don't I just think that it's not a valid thing to argue. So 30 to 50% of people in studies for antidepressants respond to placebo, which is really incredible. 50% of people, that's a lot of people. But it also goes to show like what makes one person better at placebo than another. I think that's a really interesting question. I'm not sure about that. Healing is not curing. I like that thought. That healing is not curing. Yeah, it's good for stress and things like that, for sure. And I think that if people came to it with that perspective, then it would be a little bit better. I think some people, unfortunately, come to these things for cures. Also, cultural can also influence different things down here. Placebo treatment for gastric ulcers show that the placebo effect is low in Brazil, higher in Northern Europe, and extremely high in Germany. Isn't that fascinating? Culture can influence the way that different people react to different things. Also, different colors of like pill placebos can really help people. Um, Injections, because if you get something like pushed into your body, you're like, I'm getting a shot, right? Then your body feels like something is happening. Also, the other thing that I think is important is I forget what I was saying mid sentence, so I'm going to skip that. But this one also says that money can have an influence. So if you pay for things, if you pay for something that is like a medicine or something like that, or if you pay for the name brand of a placebo, you will have more effects than if you paid for the generic. And then also, like, people will have better outcomes from the brand name real medicine than from the off-brand medicine, which I think is also interesting as well. Um, rah. Okay. And then also the other one that's important to mention is the nocebo effect, which is that people, when they think that they have something bad going on with them, they will, or okay, right, sorry. If they think that the medicine will cause negative side effects, they will sometimes convince themselves to develop certain side effects, even if they're not like associated with the medication, or they'll develop negative side effects from the placebo, which is nothing, but they'll just develop the side effects from out of nowhere. Yeah, exactly. So sometimes, like you said, sometimes just feeling confident that people around you are genuinely concerned about your care and well-being can reduce the amount of stress you have surrounding a situation. And I heard that a lot in my research, just the idea of going to a place where there is someone who is deeply interested in your care. They say that, like, for sure, me personally, I would feel more comfortable and confident, like, and more safe, like, walking into an energy healing place for a session than I would for a doctor's visit instantly. I get really anxious around the doctor. Like, it freaks me out for a variety of reasons. But that kind of stuff, that seems safer, much more enjoyable, less invasive. Like, you know what I mean? So that can also have a difference on like why people prefer things like alternative methods of healing to maybe more proven forms. Yeah. And then also the other thing that makes this thing work is confirmation bias. Confirmation bias says, like, I think that it's going to work, so basically it ends up working. Or I just look for the things that prove to me that this is already working. So here are a couple of different examples. Things like not seeking out objective facts. For example, they told you that, like, several days after your energy healing, you'll feel really tired or something like that. And so afterwards, you notice you're feeling really tired afterwards. And probably that might happen just because of the suggestion, right? And you're not looking for the facts based on like what is actually happening in your body. You just kind of go with what what the person says to you. Also, interpreting information to support your existing belief, only remembering details that uphold your belief, or ignoring information that challenges your belief. When we talk about psychics and stuff, this is definitely going to come up again. Yeah, psychics like need confirmation. From what I understand and what I've experienced, they need confirmation bias on behalf of, I think, both parties in order for it to be the most effective. Yeah, very true, Deed. Such great insight. Stress exacerbates every health issue, physical, mental, and otherwise, and therefore stress management should be a key element in any treatment plan. So this is where I say things like science should learn from, or science, when I say that, I mean modern medicine maybe should learn from these practitioners, these more energy healing, spiritual practitioners, and how they make the patients feel safe, feel comfortable. They have pretty much mastered like energy or stress reduction methods. And I think I have maybe two other phenomenon that I wanted to talk about. Oh, another thing with the placebo effect, like, and I forgot to do more research on this, but different chemicals are released by your brain depending on what is going on. Even things like endorphin and things like that. If you have some type of, especially like an excitatory type of healing done, and when this happens, I'm thinking more of kind of like something like I always think of like really dramatic forms of healing, and that happens a lot in like Pentecostal circles where they'll be like, "Holy hallelujah," and everyone's so excited and jumping, and they push you over onto the ground, like be healed, and you're shaking on the ground. Like that is a massive amount of like endorphin release when you're doing those types of things. Of course, you're going to notice a difference in your body. Of course, you're going to notice a massive weight off of your shoulders after these types of things. All right. And this other one I wanted to talk about is called the observer expectancy effect. This was all one long piece of one long thing from academys4c.org, but I had to cut it up so it could fit on this slide. So basically this says, and this one is kind of has to do with research studies, but it fits with things like this. So basically in an experiment, the observer expectancy effect is when the researcher either subconsciously influences the subjects or incorrectly interprets results to line up with the outcome that he originally hoped to see. An example of the story is of Clever Hans, a horse known by Wilhelm von Osten, who claimed that Hans learned to do basic mathematics and could understand German. Word spread, and psychologist Karl Stumpf and Oscar Pumpf, I have no idea how to say that, went to Osteen's home to find out if this was true. Through a series of experiments, Pumpf determined that Hans could only answer questions correctly in the presence of an audience that knew the answers. So they concluded that the horse did not truly understand math or German, but instead learned to recognize certain cues of the audience that signaled when Hans had approached the right number of hoof taps. The horse just adapted his behavior to fit the expectations of the humans around him. And I think that this is super interesting because, for example, if a person who doesn't really know a lot about energy healing walks in, the practitioner is like, hey, this is what's going to happen. And if the person is kind of in a suggestible type of a state, they might just be like, okay, like this is what's supposed to happen. And so like after that, they basically do what's expected. Like, they're like, okay, are you feeling the energy? They're like, yeah, I am feeling the energy. And I think sometimes there's a mixture of maybe it's partially happening and maybe you're convincing yourself that it's happening. It's hard for me to tell the difference. even when I know that this stuff has happened for me, it's hard for me to tell the difference. All right. Oh, cool. We're here. Let me wait for a second to kind of come up to this. So the other thing that I wanted to mention is like, sometimes people are skeptical of these things, but then they're convinced. They're convinced by some type of word of mouth, some type of people's testimony, or they're shown physically what energy healing can do for them. And for this part, I wanted to introduce you to Richard Gordon and what's called quantum touch. And I will say that watching this type of stuff, quantum touch, convinced me that energy healing was real. I saw this and I was like, wow, there must be something really going on here. And it wasn't too short after that that I started pursuing getting trained. Uh, but yeah, let's hear from Richard Gordon and see what quantum touch is all about. Would you believe it?
Great how quantum touch works. Okay, I'm here with Tara in the park. We just met a moment ago. Yes. And I'm going to be demonstrating how quantum touch works. Now, I'll start you by asking, do you have any pain anywhere? No. Would you like some? No. Okay, good. John, I understand that you're a boxer. Yeah. I'm Richard. Good to meet you. I have something that can actually give an elite athlete a competitive advantage. And I'd like to demonstrate it with you right now and show you how that works. Okay, Juan, I'm going to show you a way that works on athletes to make them stronger. I run energy to one side, and it's just a total difference. So the athletes can get stronger faster than they ever knew before. So I'm doing little demonstrations. Would you like to try it? Sure. Okay, we're going to try something. First, we'll try a little exercise. And so stretch your arms out forward. And what you're going to do is open and close your hands really fast, all the way open, all the way close. Very good. Until you don't want to go any longer. It usually takes about 20 or 30 seconds before that's enough. Okay, so what I'm going to have you do is
okay, he's warming.
Touch works. Okay, I'm here with
That's
Tara.
gracious, guys.
Mark, we just met a moment ago. Yes. And
I'm gonna keep working with this, but yeah. So he's kind of introducing his little system to people. He does a lot of this like arm stuff, and then we're not gonna watch this entire thing because he rambles a lot and it's the same thing over and over again. But here he's getting these other two guys to try it out.
Close your hands as fast as you can until. What's wrong? Oh, hold on. What's wrong with your right arm?
My wrist.
What's wrong with the wrist?
Oh, it's
Okay, twisted. Yeah. So how much pain or sensation do you have? Like difficulty turning it right now?
Not as much. But
okay. Okay. Let's just work on the wrist first. Okay.
All right.
So just but this is a neutral position. So just relax your arm here, and I'm gonna hold this.
Okay.
Just so you can just relax it more. Yeah, that's better.
So as he's doing this, you can tell he's running energy.
The trainers can learn. And I was working. I'm gonna try to get the energy up a little bit.
He's getting the energy up.
When it hurts. Just let it burn a little bit. So I'm gonna show you a little magic trick. Okay, that's good. Now relax your arms. And I'm just going to work on this forearm here. Okay, now put your arms down. I'm just going to run energy into this side here. And how do the sides feel compared to each other? Now open and close them a few times. How does this side feel compared to that side?
I guess not as tight.
Yeah, not as tight. Would you like me to work on the other side? Sure. Okay. How does this side feel compared to the other side? Open and close.
So does anyone else like now that I feel like I'm in a different place, I'm watching this and I'm like, come on, guys, like, ugh. Okay. So your brain is incredible and can do a lot of really incredible things. And then so doing this thing with your hand, I swear, you guys can literally do this right now. You can do this to your hands for 30 seconds, right? And then be tired and then focus on all of your energy on kind of like energetically supporting one hand, and you probably feel a difference. Like, and he like, it's not that I don't think he's being like intentional. Like, I'm not trying to say that he's trying to be like intentionally deceptive or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I think that people really do believe that this is what's happening. But I think that honestly, like what we know honestly is that like the placebo effect is incredible and we can kind of convince ourselves of a lot of things. He kind of goes on, like he goes on to do this for like the whole time. Like, you know, like it just is the same thing over and over again. He does a lot of that. He kind of heals people. The one guy who had the wrist pain was like, wow, I'm feeling so much better. And this one guy was like, my knee hurts. And he put his hands on him. And then a little bit later, he was like, wow, my knee is so much better. It's like, yeah, it looks really believable. And like I said, I definitely believed all of this was a real thing. Like until like, all of this was like, yeah. And I think the other thing that makes me feel a little bit suspicious is like when she was doing the two hands thing, he was like, look at, or like, how's his arm feeling? Like, does it feel any different than the other one? And therefore in her head now she's like looking to see like, I guess it's kind of different. Like it doesn't seem like she's like, definitely. She's like, I guess it's maybe a little bit different. And then he like evens it out. I think that's enough of that for right now. Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit to see, are there any real benefits of this stuff? But first, Caroline, maybe? I don't know how to pronounce that. Otherwise, I would have cured my friend a long time ago. There are people who say I could heal him. I know it won't work. I don't even dare to meditate here due to certain energies in the house. Well, I hope that you feel that you can like, you are free to kind of like meditate wherever you want. And like, I guess maybe if you're more of a spiritual person, you might resonate with like kind of anything that you choose to believe like can be real or not. Like, so if you want to believe that there isn't any negative energy that can impact you in the house, it might help you out a little bit, potentially. I'm not sure. All right. So what are some of the actual benefits? I forget what I have here. Okay. So first, there's a couple of things that I think are useful about Reiki and all energy healing. And some of them I think are things that really can't be proven by anything. But for example, many people will claim that during Reiki healings or even attunements that they experience a lot of kind of like hallucinations or kind of like deep, profound insights, visions and things like that as well. And whenever a person has like visions or spiritual insights, those can be incredibly beneficial for the person. And yeah, so I feel like that can be great. And for people who are doing Reiki, like who are learning how to be Reiki healers themselves. And I'm using Reiki as kind of a standard example because it's the one that's in my head, but understand that I'm talking about all energy healing here. It feels really nice. It's like you kind of just get to be in a deep meditative state while you're just kind of like sending positive thoughts to another person. It helps you feel more connected to all divine energy. It helps kind of, the other thing that I think is the most important one is that it helps you feel a sense of agency. When you feel like you can't do anything to help somebody else, it helps you feel like you can actually do something to help somebody else. And let me just make myself a little bigger for a while. I like I said, I was gonna wait till later to kind of talk a little bit about my personal position and experience with this. Like I'm at the place where I agree with science. There's no way to really prove that any of this stuff is real or effective. But like the fact that it does provide me sometimes with that feeling of, it helps me get rid of that feeling of helplessness. For example, like my wife deals with a lot of chronic pain conditions, and also just recently got a knee injury. And just like I was massaging her knee, and as I was doing it, I was just like kind of just doing some of that visualization that I had learned. Like it made me feel nice. It helped me feel connected to her. And it helped me feel like, maybe I am not as powerless as I really am in reality, where, she got hurt and I hate to see her having to crutch around the house. Like I just want her to feel better. You know what I mean? So like me just doing a little bit of that helps me feel better. helps me deal with the fact that she's in pain. And she also enjoys it. She says it's a pleasant experience for her. And we were just talking about like how her knee felt better the next day. And she was like, like, I don't know if it was from you doing your energy healing or if it just feels better, because at the same time, she's been resting it and icing it and taking care of it. So it's like, we'll never really be able to know like whether or not this is helping, but it provides like a little bit of that psychological relief for both of us. So that's how it works for me. And I said, I am a skeptic, and I just do this stuff because I'm curious about it, and I'm just trying to see what happens. I'm not so skeptical that I refuse to kind of dabble in any of this stuff or think that it's dangerous to play around with. I think like some other people might have that position, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with all of this stuff. Yeah, the other thing that I found, and I didn't find any, research against this, and I did read the article, so I think that this is, pretty believable, I would say. Reading the article does help you understand a little bit more about what happens, though. So basically, there was a study that was done that showed that, according to, I believe they took, oh, here it is. Yeah, they took a bunch of different studies. They took, I think, 13 studies. And out of those studies, 8 of them demonstrated that Reiki was more effective than placebo. And what is that? 13 and 8? Is that half? That's a little over half, right? So a little over of half of the studies showed that Reiki was better than placebo. And then 4 found no difference, and I guess the rest, found that there was no benefit. So I think that it's a little bit bold to say that Reiki is better than placebo when just a little bit over half of the studies said that it was, and the rest of them were like, no. So yeah, I think that that's pretty interesting for sure. I would just say only one proved clear evidence for not providing any benefit. So yeah, it's kind of like with this study, it seems like it's questionable to maybe possibly. And then I did read quite a bit of the research methods that were done in the article. Some of them were interesting. You found that there were some conditions that did respond to Reiki, and certain conditions, like over and over again, fibromyalgia kept coming up, and that one was very much Reiki resistant. Like Reiki did not seem to respond well to, or fibromyalgia did not seem to respond well to Reiki, which is interesting to me. And also because a lot of people will claim that fibromyalgia is very much a psychosomatic condition, very much connected to kind of like your psychology in the brain, and very much connected with stress. So I was kind of surprised to see that Reiki didn't help support that at all. And when I was, let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see the research. When I was looking this up, I was considering not putting this article in this video, and I just thought that would be dishonest. I thought that would be dishonest to not include all of the research that I discovered. Yeah, because like you said, like this is a gentle and like there's nothing less invasive than Reiki, right? If we can like find modalities like this, non-invasive modalities that do provide some type of benefit to people, then we should learn how to administer these things in a useful way. Not necessarily so like, let's just try this for cancer. Like maybe not for stuff like that. But yeah, for things like, stress or maybe conditions that are highly connected to stress, I'm sure that they might be, Reiki can have some effect or benefit. So I thought that it was the most honest thing to do was for me to put all of this information in here. And I think that I also found a clip. Yeah, I'm also going to just show a clip of this woman just talking about why people become healers. Like, why would what kind of people are attracted to becoming professional healers? And I swear, I watched this video is like 40 minutes long. We're only going to watch like a small clip from it. But I remember watching this video when I was researching whether or not I wanted to kind of like learn how to get trained in energy healing or do this type of thing as a profession. I was super interested in being able to like dedicating my life to helping people in this kind of spiritual way. I've always been very connected to that stuff. So yeah, that's why I was probably a good candidate to believe in Reiki altogether. But yeah, let's take a look at what she has to say and kind of learn about what type of people are attracted to energy healing.
Healer. I mean, how to know if you're a healer and the next steps you can take. So I'm going to start with the beginning of the journey and take you to the end of the journey, basically is how we're going to go. So first of all, I know there's a lot of people in this group that's probably going to resonate with this. You're an empath, you're sensitive, you're a spiritual soul, you're intuitive. So you're one of those things or all of those things. And that is really the sign that you have healing gifts. Okay. Anyone that has those gifts, I would be encouraging you to go and experience energy work. Start by receiving some energy work, start by receiving some energy healing. And also, after that, when you're ready, step into a workshop like a Reiki
workshop is what she was going to say. Okay, really quick, y'all. I might make myself bigger for this part so that you guys can see me. the empaths, right? The people who are just like super concerned with other people, people who are really intuitively connected, wanting to be, telling them like those are the kinds of people that I would push towards, getting energy healing done or becoming an energy healer. First, obviously, getting it done for you, and then learning how to give it to other people. This once again kind of I've spoken before about kind of the neurodivergent star child empath thing, right? How a lot of times those folks will kind of be drawn to spiritual circles because it's like I'm such like I felt like I was such a weirdo. Like, why am I so different from other people? Why do I feel things so intensely? Why do I feel so oddly connected to people? Like, you know what I mean? We just have all these questions, but someone's like, it's because you're meant to be an energy healer. That is kind of like the method by which people kind of find their way into New Age spirituality. And then sometimes it can kind of end there. And then other times you can end up like really kind of going down the spiritual rabbit hole. And sometimes that can be fine. And then sometimes it can be a little bit dangerous. But let's continue.
Workshop, a crystal healing workshop, to really get your journey going. This is really important because you're so open energetically, because you have that energetic sensitivity. It means that you need to be working with energy. Now, it doesn't matter if you don't know if that's your divine destiny. That doesn't matter. What matters is that you are surrounded by energy healing.
I think Deej says when I say one should get energy healing, I think this is what she's saying. She is saying that people who are empathetic and things like that should get some type of energy healing done. I think that it's just any energy healing. I'm really talking about energy healing generally. I keep mentioning Reiki because it's easier than saying it's shorter than energy healing. But yeah, I'm not. That's what I say that. But I think she is saying that like empaths or people who are intuitive should just pursue any form of energy healing. I hope that's what you meant. You can clarify if that didn't answer your question.
Or that you have some experiences around it, because ultimately that's going to help your gifts. That's going to help your imbalances with your energy, which I know a lot of you have. I've done a lot of videos about this as well, guys. So you can look in the video archive for the group or go into my YouTube channel because it's all there. So ultimately, these are gifts that you haven't yet explored yet. You know that you're awakening, you know that you're an empath, but you haven't quite explored those gifts yet. And so the next step really for you is, like I say, experiencing energy work and going into some workshops and start learning a few little, being in that energy and learning some tools and receiving those tools, because that's really going to support your awakening journey. You can't deny that you're sensitive. I mean, you can try to block it off and try to fit into this conventional world, but that's not who you are. You're only going to deny yourself. You're only going to halt your journey if you hold back on your gifts, if you hold back on your, intuition, and you try to fit into this society that doesn't really incorporate healers right now.
Mother frick. So I remember really feeling, and I'm going to try to get to this spot without having it be too weird.
I mean,
goodness freaking gracious, guys. I'm so annoyed. But yeah, I remember feeling so connected, because I was so sensitive all the time, and hearing people say stuff like that, people being like, you have this ability within you, and you can't deny the fact that you're sensitive. You can't deny this. You can't lie to yourself anymore. I remember being like, okay, you're right. I feel like I don't fit in this world. I feel like, all of these, I can't handle my own energy. I have too much of this stuff and I don't know how to control it. Help me figure this shit out. You know what I mean? So as a confused neurodivergent person, I didn't understand what was going on with me. And I didn't understand why I was so sensitive exactly. I was super susceptible to just be like, yep, that means that I'm destined to be an energy healer. I am a starseed. This is what I was put on the earth for. So I'm saying that this is why this is so, I guess, convincing for especially neurodivergent people, is because you feel so weird in the world. It makes sense that you have some type of supernatural gift or something like that. And River, I agree with you. I remember when I thought I was an empath and people kept saying it's a superpower. This shit is the worst superpower ever. I'm going to be able to fly. Yes, exactly. I just, yeah, it's great. Oh, I wish that I could just be a little less sensitive in the world. It would be really nice, to be honest. It would make just living life a lot easier, but this is what I've got. And now I understand, you know, it's more about my like sensory issues and things like that, not necessarily about like my empathness or me being like some type of like special person. I'm just like a person who has some stuff going on in my brain. But yeah, hopefully we can get to the right spot in this video, and we can, you know.
I mean, you can try to block it off and try to fit into this conventional world, but that's not who you are, and you're only going to deny yourself. You're only going to.
Goodness gracious. I think I'm just going to stop because I'm done. I give up. She kind of just goes on about that for a couple more minutes. I'm over it. I'm not feeling well today. So, all right. So, but you can tell, like, just look how happy she was. Like, excuse me, guys. Like I said, I'm not feeling well. She looked so happy. She was excited about what she was doing. And it's hard to not feel passionate about your work when you really believe that the work that you're doing is transforming lives. In a lot of ways, I think that it does. And yeah, I think that I have a couple. I think I have another video that I want to watch with you, just kind of talking about the harm, like what's the harm in all of this stuff. We have 2 more videos to take a look at. We'll see how I feel. Maybe we'll watch both of them. Actually, maybe we'll just watch one of them and then the other one I'll do like midweek or something, or maybe not. I don't know. I don't feel very well. So, all right. This one, oh, mother frick. Which one is this? That's that one. I wanted to watch this one. Okay, we're gonna look it up because this video is important. So give me like 2 seconds to find it, and then we'll watch it together. It's about, this one is talks a lot more about just the idea of like, this one specifically talks about Reiki, and specifically it kind of like talks about some of the, throughout the video, he intersperses some of the things that he considers to be some of the problems with this stuff. So give me, like I said, give me 2 seconds to find it. I just had it up yesterday, but it's not working in the PowerPoint, which is annoying. Okay, so, and if you guys have any thoughts about like this whole thing, please just send them in the comments, because I would love to hear more about, you know, what some of your thoughts are on all of these topics. All right. Okay.
BetterHelp gives you access to over 20,000 licensed.
Goodness gracious. Shit annoys me, and I'm getting a headache. So yeah, we're just gonna end on this one. All right.
Are you tired of
Are you
sitting at
kidding?
home,
Okay.
letting your talents go to waste?
And then I'm also gonna
Did you know that you can earn your psychology degree online from home?
put the subtitles
Yes,
on because
that is
he has an
right.
accent, and I don't know if everyone can understand
To
it.
health. Modern health quacks or alternate medicine practitioners are super salesmen. They play on people's fear. They cater to people's hope. And once they have got you in their control, they will keep you coming back for more and more and more. Seldom do their victims realize how often or how skillfully they are cheated. Most people think that quackery is easy to spot. Often it is not. The promoters wear the cloak of science. They use scientific terms and quote scientific references. To one and all, they promise better health and longer life, but at the end, provide them with nothing, and they end up cleaning up their pockets. Today, we will look at another pseudoscientific quackery, which goes.
So basically, he's introducing Reiki. I think that he does make good points here. He talks about how, like, especially nowadays, we have to understand that the mechanics around energetic healing is shifting. We were coming from a place back in the day where people were living in communities, and your spiritual healers were the shamans. They were like the people like the very respected position in kind of some type of like a tribe or community aspect. And it was necessary to have someone to do these things. And it wasn't something, oftentimes it wasn't something that you would like pay for. It was just a community service that was done, right? Maybe there was more bartering or something like that involved. And to this day, I know a lot of people on some of the energy healing subreddits and stuff that I've been a part of that are very strongly believe in like bartering, charging very low prices, or just offering their services for free completely, because they believe in the fact that like this energetic exchange stuff like should not really involve money, or that really shouldn't be the purpose or function of it. But nowadays we're kind of in this realm of spiritual capitalism where everyone is saying like, become a spiritual, become a Reiki, open up your Reiki healing business and become a shamanic healer, join my shamanic healer weekend course and become certified, 6-month course in shamanism. Like all of these things, they're things that people have to pay for. Unlike, and one of these days, guys, we're going to watch the plastic shamanism video together because I think that it's so good. All about how like, like indigenous shamans are not happy with new age culture. They're not pleased with it because they see like, y'all are really just appropriating our practices and everything, and y'all are just being real disrespectful. And I can agree. Yeah, it's problematic for sure. And we're coming at it with the truth, because I can't say that I completely blame people for preferring holistic and alternative medicines over going to the doctor's office, because the American healthcare system has a lot of issues. My head hurts so bad because you're right. And especially with like mental health stuff, like there's a lot of ways that and I think that was something that she was going to bring up in the video, but I stopped it because I'm over it. But she mentions how like, she used to, and I might be making this up because this is also like my experience, but I know what it's like to try things for my mental health and feel so like desperate. Like like when you suffer and you're really struggling and you're like, something else there has to be something. There has to be something that I can use to help me with this. I know what it's like to try a bunch of like mental health systems and feel like they're not working or not helping. And I have a very, very distinct memory of being when I was in partial hospitalization care, like a couple years ago, and being like, I feel like this is not like, this is beneficial because I needed to be in that type of care at the time. But like, at the same time, I knew that like, there has to be more than this. Like there's something that feels so shallow and incomplete about this work, and the depth that I felt there was some real depth that was missing. And I found that in kind of the spiritual exploration that I was doing. And so, yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff lacking in the Western system. And also it's expensive as hell. So it's kind of frustrating because it's kind of like, those, Reiki healers are swindling you out of your money. But then also a lot of times doctors do the same thing. You spend a lot of money on sometimes treatments that don't work for you. And that can be really upsetting. And sometimes failed treatments is what pushes people to alternative medicine. So yeah, that's one reason. That's one thing that I think of. And I also think that sometimes people like I would say like he's a very kind of adamantly harsh, like this is a quackery practice and should not be engaged with. I don't really hold that position. I think that we can figure out how to like use this in a useful and helpful way, and also communicate to people the truth about what's going on. Not really saying to people that like this is a really magic thing that's happening, like telling them like actually what goes on, like tell them about the placebo effect, tell them about the expectancy effect. Like these things are real and they can actually help you improve your life, like whatever. And you're right, it's super shallow. I blame everything on capitalism. Maybe that's a problem on my part, but yeah, it is really shallow, and that's upsetting. But yeah, there's a lot. I'm not even gonna finish that sentence because I'm over it.
by the name Reiki. Welcome to Pale Blue Thoughts, the channel which debunks pseudoscience of the Chinese life force called Qi. Rei means universal in Japanese, and Ki means spirit or life energy or life force.
His
So Reiki literally translates to
explanation of
universal
it.
life force. Reiki
We
was
talk about that pretty much all day.
all of which are claimed to influence the imaginary energy that Reiki advocates postulate.
So if you just saw that, she was like doing this stuff. Thanks, River. I'm glad you agree with me. So you have like the certain like Reiki symbols that you draw around your hand and things like that. Oh, another one that's interesting. Reiki, I think, is a very interesting system because I think the symbols make it more complicated, but also make it interesting because what you do with the symbols. So you have a lot of different symbols for Reiki, and I think that he put them in the beginning. Did he? No, he didn't. That's not it. If there's a picture of the symbols, I'll show it, but if not, then I'm not going to worry about it. I don't see any pictures, but yeah, I think she's drawing the original, the main like Reiki symbol in her hand, which is like kind of a line with like circles around it. But you can also draw them like on the roof of your mouth, which I just think is funny and interesting. Kind of, I don't know, yeah, and interesting. I've said that so many times. I'm tired.
In reality, these are just scientific sounding words inserted to make it scientific when it is not. Reiki can also be self-administered, and the really unbelievable claim is that it can be administered to others at distant locations. That is, that they can channel the energy from their hands to someone sitting miles away. This should by itself prove that this is a fake form of treatment. Reiki healers.
I think I would agree with him. Like, I know, like, and when you come at it from the spiritual perspective, because everything is energy, everything is connected in like a very literal way. You can like distance doesn't matter, time doesn't matter. Like all these things are illusions. It seems very plausible that you can send healing energy, not just across space, but also across time. He didn't even mention that. You can tell he doesn't. He's studied about Reiki, but he hasn't practiced it or hasn't like studied it from that perspective. But it's not just time, or it's not just space, it's also time. So you can send Reiki to yourself in the future. You can send Reiki to yourself in the past. Like, let's say we have, let's say I wanted to bless next week's session. I could literally right now, like visualize the symbols in my head. I can draw it on the roof of my mouth and like beam Reiki to myself next week. So you can decide what you want to believe about that. It's like these things it's very difficult to substantiate these things. But if you personally want to like send yourself positive energy in the future, why not just like convince yourself that it's actually happening? Like, I think that, for example, you can use the placebo effect to your advantage and convince yourself of things that you want to convince yourself of. Yeah, convince yourself that you enjoy doing dishes or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, so like, and I see where you're coming from. You're saying that doctors can't help my boyfriend. His medical history is very long in the pain clinic, and he's given out medication, has made many things bad that were good, and they always see everything too late. Definitely agree. There are definite shortcomings, failings of the Western medical system, and I hope that there is some day where we can understand what's happening. I've heard some wild things about Reiki. One of them that I don't even remember where I heard it, because I would try to listen to find it again and see if I could talk to the person who said it, because I think it's that interesting. But she said, I think it was after her second or third attunement to Reiki, that she was providing it to someone, and then like as she's scanning this person, she just like is able to like see through their body, like just sees into their body, like their organs and everything, and is able to like spot like something going on with like some part of her body, and then she like goes and gets it checked out, and lo and behold, there's like something wrong with that area of her body. I'm like, how? I can't prove that what she's saying actually happened, because this is an anecdotal piece of evidence. And I no matter how much I want to believe in someone's anecdotal evidence, like I won't let myself do it, because it's just not a reliable source of kind of like getting facts and things like that. But it sure is interesting. It sure interests the heck out of me. And if we're able to find people who can do that for real, and like we can prove that people can do this, we can really help a lot of people sooner than we could in the past. But I don't know if any of this is actually possible, right? I don't actually know if any of this is possible. Yeah. maybe one day we'll be able to be like dogs, and how dogs can like sniff when someone has cancer or something. Like dogs can like sniff cancer, and like I'm almost positive that that's true. I could be wrong. I know they can sniff things like panic attacks, and they can sniff things like blood sugar, which is crazy, right? Like, how can you smell blood sugar changing? That'd be crazy if humans could learn to be that sensitive to be able to figure out how to do that. I don't know if that's a possible thing. Okay, let's continue.
Differ from acupuncturists in that they do not try to unlock a person's key, but they try to channel the key of the universe so that the client or patient heals. Reiki practitioners claim to facilitate healing by strengthening or balancing the key. The channeling is done with the hands, and no physical massaging is necessary since key flows are balanced.
This is one. This is a Reiki symbol. This is a big one. The Hantaze Shomen one. It's pretty long, but obviously this is one.
Of the healer into the patient. The Reiki master claims to be able to draw upon the energy of the universe and to increase his or her own energy by performing a healing. Depending on the training and beliefs of the healer, Reiki is used to treat a wide array of ailments. Larry Arnold and Sandra Nevins claim in the Reiki handbook that Reiki is useful for treating brain damage, cancer, diabetes, and venereal diseases. Many Reiki healers are more modest and treat lesser problems such as fatigue or muscle soreness. And the best part is that if you do not believe in Reiki, it won't work for you. At least that is what Reiki masters say. If the healing fails, and it will inevitably fail for such things as cancer, it is because the patient is resisting the healing energy. Non-belief is one of the great blocks to healing energy. If it works by chance, then the credit is taken by the master. If it fails, they can escape by saying, you aren't a believer and you resisted the energy. Cool scam, isn't it? Just
like I think that is fucked, like really messed up. I don't think I will definitely say that I'm pretty positive that not all healers are like that. They won't kind of hold it against you for not being able to heal or kind of have a beneficial response from the healing. But in things like quantum touch, if not just the hands-on part, but in his further systems, he says things like he has this way of interviewing a person to get them to admit that it's their fault that they are sick. Let me say that again. He interviews them to get them to a point to admit to themselves that it's their fault that they're sick. Now, you think that's ethical? I don't think so. And I remember when I heard that being like, oh man, that seems kind of bad, but it kind of makes sense though. It kind of makes sense that since we create our own reality, that I would have created this X, Y, or Z illness. And at the time, I think that I was working on my things like my depression or anxiety. And I'm like, oh, I can definitely see how like the systems and things that have happened in my life and the trauma that has happened to me in X, Y, Z, could all of those things would attract this of my internal trauma reflecting itself that is in my whole body. What some of for me. All right. I know. I just saw that. I just see that it seems to be getting a little choppy. Yeah. So hopefully it's better. I closed out some stuff. Let's see if it continues and I can just finish this up. Like this one I don't need either. Okay. So let's see. It seems I can see that it doesn't seem like it's stopping as much anymore. So let's continue.
Just like a cat, it always lands on 4 legs, no matter what the outcome is. No special background or credentials are needed to receive a training in Reiki. To become a practitioner, one must receive an initiation or what they call as an attunement from a Reiki master. This ceremony makes one attuned to the universal life energy and enables one to become a conduit or a channel for the key. There are said to be 3 to 4 different levels of attunement. At the higher levels, one can allegedly channel Reiki energy and cause healings at a distance without physical contact. Training for the lower levels typically happens in just 1 or 2 days. Training to become a master is said to take years. One must learn which symbols to use, when to call up the universal life force, how to heal an emotional or spiritual illness, and most curiously, how to heal someone who isn't even present. The techniques taught can vary greatly among Reiki schools and teachers.
Yep.
Most importantly, there are no licensing or professional standards existing for the practice and training of Reiki.
So that is probably another one of the pretty big issues with systems like this. There's just like, that's the one thing that's helpful about doctors and psychiatrists and therapists and stuff like that, is if they fuck you over, they'll be held accountable, right? If a Reiki healer fucks you over, there's no one who can hold them accountable. Maybe you might be able to get some fraud things done if you take them to court or something like that, but there's no system in place that can help hold them accountable. There's no one that they're accountable to. They're accountable to God or the universe. And that's pretty much it, which is a little bit scary because you can see that sometimes being, God isn't all that. You know what I'm saying. Yeah, there's a lot of problems. People say a lot of things like, we need God for morality, and it's just not help me. It's just not the truth. Okay. And the other thing, what obviously about like not being a lot of standards, the attunement levels are different and things like that. I remember, maybe there's something to, people being attuned or something like that. I remember my attunement and I remember it feeling impactful. I've heard crazy, like other people's attunement stories that were crazy. I got my training done during the pandemic. So it was not even like, it was like a recorded class, not even like something that I would like had a teacher that I could like engage with necessarily. And I remember even feeling like that felt kind of weird, like that I was able to just like kind of do this on my own time. I mean, that part felt normal, but I didn't really have to do a lot. I didn't have to I had to like write stuff to the teacher, like answer questions and quizzes and stuff like that. But I didn't have to I didn't really have to like meet her or like, she didn't have to like vet me or anything. She was like, okay, cool, you're training, here's the attunement. And the other thing was that made me feel weird about this class particularly was that you got all 3 levels of attunement at once. And it took quite a while for you to get through all of the information in the class, but you don't get them all at once. Like, I think you do them like in a row, but you don't have to like wait years and years and years in between. I remember that felt weird because when I was reading the books, they were like, you should be on level 1 for a long time and like practice healing yourself, because that's level 1 Reiki, is learning self Reiki. And then second is Reiki to other people. And then I think third is being able to do distance Reiki and things like that. And I think Reiki like across time and space, I believe, is when that happens as well. And I don't know if master level teacher is the last part of the training, but whatever. That's the other thing to mention, is that having Reiki as a system, creates a whole new area for people to go kind of make careers out of and stuff like that. You have people who are selling things like Reiki training courses for like thousands of dollars. And yeah, same with like shamanism classes and stuff like that. A lot of money. But it's not for not for something like being a doctor where like you'll have like a board of someone who you'll be accountable to. And yeah, I'm not saying that one's better than the other, because I think, I don't know, there's obviously a demand for spiritual stuff in the world. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this many people doing all this work.
So does Reiki work? Yes. Reiki works as well as any other placebo medicine. It works primarily by the power of suggestion and classical conditioning, both of which can bring about physiological changes in the believer or on someone who knows little about how placebos work.
Yeah.
Reiki, however, will have no effect on someone who thinks that Reiki ritual is a superstitious scam. Once again, by applying the principle of Occam's razor, we find no need for key to explain how Reiki works. So
Occam's razor is basically the simplest explanation, would say the thing. If you hear hooves walking down the street, think horse, not zebra, basically Occam's razor. And then the other thing that he mentioned, hold on, what did he say? Like I mentioned, if you just go research like Reiki and skeptic, you'll see this one guy, I believe his name is Genetically Modified Skeptic, and he gets a Reiki procedure done himself, and he does this voiceover where he's like, this is stupid. Reiki is stupid, blah, blah, blah. And so I would assume that he would feel nothing in the session at all. But someone like me, I know, especially now since I'm like in a place where I kind of know how to convince myself to like, I guess what I'll say is like, I've learned how to like kind of be suggestible. Like I've been suggestible my whole life, and I've learned how to be more intentional about it and like kind of make myself believe things. Like if someone's like, close your eyes and imagine you're in a beach, like I'm getting better at like convincing myself that I'm there in terms of like sensory experience. But yeah, I think these are also skills that you can develop. You can kind of get your imagination to be like more and more profound as you kind of train it and stuff like that as well. So yeah, and I think it's also, I don't know, I think it's also a little bit of a mistake that he made. Placebos do work for people who know that they're taking a placebo. It's called the open label placebo effect. I can talk about it in another video, but not right now.
In the principle of Occam's razor, we find no need for key to explain how Reiki works. So has any studies been done to prove the authenticity of this method of treatment? Of course, yes. And the properly done, unmanipulated studies have all drawn a big zero favoring this technique. The most comprehensive review of Reiki research was done by Edzard Ernst at the University of Exeter. They studied 205 potentially relevant studies and 9 randomized control studies. After surveying all these studies conducted on Reiki, they concluded that most were poorly designed and the evidence was insufficient to suggest that Reiki is an effective treatment for any condition.
So that was a study that I showed you. And the other thing is like the study that I saw that was like Reiki is better than placebo for these 8 times in these studies. Potentially those could have been studies, like he said, that the studies were poorly designed or poorly organized. I am still kind of like learning how to identify like appropriate kind of like models for research. So I won't kind of talk about that right now since I don't know how to identify the differences that well yet. But yeah, so I just think that that's an important thing to mention.
Many more studies that have concluded the same, and I will post a list of them below in the description for you to read if you wish. In 2013, researchers at the Scripps Institute in San Diego used a special device to measure the electromagnetic fields from the hands and heart of 3 Reiki masters when they were 1, not practicing Reiki, 2, when they were transmitting Reiki to a distant person, and 3, when they were transmitting the energy to a person in the room. Similar measurements were made on 4 volunteers before and after they received a Reiki training. The device recorded no radiation or energy attributable to Reiki. So how does Reiki survive if it is not effective? Just the same way as homeopathy, Ayurveda, and faith healing survives without an iota of scientific evidence. There are faith-based healing systems which work on various reasons like placebo, and they survive on a handful of anecdotal evidences like it worked for me or it helped.
So this one too, like removing GMOs from my diet. I can't read the rest of it, but I'm sure it helped me. I've seen a ghost. So I've heard this one so many times. Like I've had a personal experience with a ghost or the supernatural, so I know that it's real. This is a crazy snowstorm, global warming, who? And the acupuncture cured my headaches. That's all the proof that I need. Oh, my parents spanked me and I turned out fine. These are great things. This is why I don't take anecdotal evidence as proof anymore. I used to. I would hear someone say something and I'd be like, I believe you. I don't do that anymore. I'm like, thank you for telling me your story. I believe that is your interpretation. So basically, that's what I would say for all these things. I believe that is your interpretation of the evidence. And thank you for sharing.
My uncle's pain and stress go away, and so on. One major drawback of individual success stories is that they don't indicate how many failures might occur for each success. Most often, in the case of critical illnesses, people who went for such nonsense treatment may not live to tell their tale. The alternative
that is really important, y'all, because it happens. Really big, famous example is, I believe, Steve Jobs of Apple. He was very much into meditation and kind of holistic health. He denied treatment for a really long time to the point where his condition was no longer operable. He attempted to have Western medicine. It was too late, and he ended up passing away. That's devastating. He was a brilliant guy. I don't know, might be have other things that were sketchy about him. A lot of people do. But like, it's unfortunate that he had to die early and did not receive appropriate treatment. He just kind of went with homeopathy, which is ridiculous to me. But yeah, and like the other person say, I think Caroline, like you mentioned that your boyfriend has been to the doctors and has done a lot of stuff and still like he hasn't found relief. And like that's awful. You know what I mean? And like he might also try some of these other energy healing things and find some relief, maybe some not relief, and maybe a mixture of both. And it's so all of this stuff is all up in the air. And I'm really glad that I'm talking about this, is because I feel like all of the videos that I've seen have either been on one side or the other. One person is like, Reiki is for sure, everything about it is true, or like nothing about Reiki is useful at all. Like I think that we need to have a balanced, both sides weighed honestly approach to things like this.
movement is part of a general societal trend towards rejection of science as a method of determining truths. Under the rules of science, people who make the claims bear the burden of proof. It is their responsibility to conduct suitable studies and report them in sufficient detail to allow others to evaluate it and confirm their effectiveness. But they often never do that or come up with cooked up, faulty studies, as we have seen with Reiki here.
So Reiki, that's the thing that upsets me about spirituality. And I did the same thing. So I'm only upset at myself, right? At my past self. But like, we do these things where we're like, science is stupid and they don't know what they're talking about. But then we're like, but science proves that Reiki is effective. And I'm like, you got to pick a side, bro. Like, you have to pick a side. You can't just say you're looking for science to prove Reiki and then simultaneously be like, fuck your science. Because that's what people do. It's this science denial. This like this just such a strong lack of care for these people who put a lot of effort into studying these things. And for me, I'm at this place now where I like know what science is. And I know that I have to be a little bit more humble. That's pretty much it. I don't know things. A lot of people know things more than me. So I can trust them. Not everyone, though. If someone's like, I have my degree from this fake place, I'm like, okay, your opinion probably isn't that valuable, but there are people who prove that they're unbiased in the way that they try to find information.
Healing methods such as homeopathy and Reiki are not just called pseudoscience because there is no good clinical evidence for their effectiveness, but their theory itself violates fundamental physical laws. Things don't get potentized when diluted, and there are no energy fields that we can generate from within our bodies that can be used to channel someone else's energy.
Pseudoscience isn't just pseudoscience because the claims aren't effective. It's pseudoscience because the claims literally deny reality. Like, you can have your cake and eat it too. You can believe that reality is valid and that it's real, and like attribute things to where they actually belong and play around in like the spiritual realm. Like, we can do both of these things. We don't have to be science deniers. I was a huge science denier for the majority of my life, and I've spent the short amount of time, like just as soon as I started making these videos, pretty much since last summer, learning and trying to like actually figure out what science has to say about things.
Someone feels better after having used a product or procedure, it is natural to give credit to that. That is why people often comment that what is your problem if it worked for me? However, the reason why this thought is foolish is because most ailments resolve by themselves and you're paying for it unnecessarily. Even serious conditions can have sufficient day-to-day variation that help such useless healing systems to gain large followers. In addition,
So basically he's saying that like someone can have a serious condition and then that condition might vacillate from day to day. Like fibromyalgia, for example, they have bad days and good days. But then after they do Reiki, the next day is a great day, right? And then they're like, oh my gosh, this is because of Reiki. But who knows whether or not it was just your natural progression or if Reiki did something different. Like I said about my wife's knee, did my energy healing help her knee, or was it just the fact that she's been taking care of her knee and it was time and rest and ice and things like that? We don't know the difference. We don't know. Most likely it was just the rest and ice. You know what I'm saying? And the energy healing was just psychological benefit for the both of us at the time. But yeah.
Actions such as visiting a doctor or a practitioner often produces a temporary relief of symptoms due to the placebo effect. This effect is a beneficial change in a person's condition that occurs in response to a treatment, but is not due to the physical aspects of the treatment. The placebo effect may be enhanced by such factors such as faith, sympathetic attention, sensational claims, testimonials, and the use of scientifically charged devices and terminology. People who are not aware of these facts tend to give undeserved credit to alternative methods. I refer you to this video that I have done to learn more about the placebo effect. Whenever we analyze the medical system or any form of treatment, the first question we should ask is whether it is safe. But what is the first question that we always ask? Is it effective? And that is the wrong way of thinking. So, is Reiki or any other energy healing dangerous? The practices are not inherently dangerous, but they could be deadly to patients who try to treat something like diabetes or cancer by just having someone wave their hands in the air over parts of the body. Reiki has no substantiated health value and lacks a scientifically plausible rationale. People with a scientific temper should stay clear of it and should also encourage others from such pseudoscientific practices. One way you can do that is by sharing this video with your friends and family member groups.
Okay, so I didn't listen to him at the end. I technically didn't say to condemn all practices of spirituality forever and whatever, and it's over. I'm not gonna do that. Like, it just doesn't feel right to me for some reason. And maybe that's just because I'm biased and I've had a lot of spiritual experiences and part of me wants to hang on to it. I don't know, but what I am going to do is just be honest about what I'm discovering. I'm going to be honest about how I'm feeling and what I'm learning and everything like that. And yeah, I want to be a part of this wave of people who are like, hey guys, like, science has some stuff to say. Like, maybe should kind of trust some of the stuff that's going on here. Like, things fall down. That is a fact. That is true, right? The sun shines. That is true, right? There are some things that we don't know is truth. Like, how do I know that I like the color purple? Like, can you look into my brain and figure out like what part of my brain declares that my favorite color is purple? I don't think that science knows how to do that yet. And so does that mean that that's the soul, right? No. Like, right now, all of that stuff is kind of just all my personality is all within my body, right? This precious body that I have, that I was gifted. It feels like a gift, you know what I mean? Even though it's crappy sometimes and I'm sick and my brain is a mess and there's a bunch of things that I feel that aren't super fun about being alive. There are things that are not fun about being alive and about being a person. Especially, a person with a lot of brain stuff going on, but there are stuff that makes life really, really worth living and makes it really special. I am down for questions. If anyone has any questions about this topic or has any thoughts, where are you? What do you believe about energy healing? What's your opinion? Do you think that it's something that you want to pursue further? Do you think that it's something that you want to condemn completely? Do you think that it's something that you want to talk to your friends about? Yeah, I'm not sure. And if you also want to, share in the comments and stuff below, I'd love to hear from you. So such people are dangerous. If you don't know what you are doing with, if you don't know what you're doing with it, I'm guessing. I know from experience, energies are real if they come from people or not. Many people are not aware that there's evil everywhere. I don't know. Technically, there's evil everywhere, but there's also a lot of good things. There's a lot of different things, and the other thing is like, I think, like you say, like things from experience, but sometimes our experiences can also fool us. Our experiences can make us believe things that aren't true. So we should even be skeptical about our own experiences and our interpretation of our experiences. I've learned how to be more skeptical about some of the things that I've had happen to me. some of them I still don't know what the fuck happened. There are things that I don't know. I don't have all the answers. But some of it feels like it might have something to it, but I think I want you to walk away from this hopefully feeling like you have a little bit more knowledge about what's going on, a little bit more knowledge about how people's brains work, and that maybe you can leave from this with a little bit of wisdom. So Deej says, I want to pursue energy healing. I've been told that I'm very in tune with people's energy and should explore energy healing. I just feel like I have so much healing to do in my own life. Yeah, and I feel like same thing for me. Like, even in that video that we watched, like people who feel like more empathetic or whatever, can be more connected to energy. And then when you say, I feel too broken to be a healer. And you know what? Like, I think it makes sense that you have that feeling, but at the same time, like, who isn't broken? Like, who is perfect? Who is worthy to be a healer? You know what I mean? When we start to ask those types of questions, we realize that like we're just walking around in circles. Like, I and on a practical level, like I'm a therapist, and I often feel like I should be better than I am because I'm a therapist. I should be able, like, I shouldn't have panic attacks. I shouldn't have meltdowns. I shouldn't, have these things happen to me because I'm a therapist and I should know how to get my shit together. But I don't, right? Because I need help too. I need support too. I have a therapist too. You know what I mean? But I resonate with the feeling of feeling too broken to help other people or to be a healer. But everyone is broken. Everyone has things that they feel like are unlovable or unacceptable or whatever. But yeah, none of that matters. I think there is also value, deep value in learning how to connect to the subtle presentations of sensation in your body. And and I guess some other people will say kind of learning how to pay attention to how energy manifests itself in your body. And because of all of this spiritual stuff that I've learning all this energy healing stuff, like I've become very much in tune with how my emotional energy moves around within my body. I'm much more attentive to even things like when I do feel like that electric tingling in my body and things like that. I'm much more sensitive to those things. And learning energy healing practices has allowed that to happen. And I think that's been very, very valuable for me. It's helped me really learn how to start sort of like navigate my own inner spiritual world that I'm still learning about. It feels, yeah, this still feels very new to me. But yeah, never you're never too broken. Like we all have things about us that we feel are broken. Yeah, so I'm sure that you would make a great healer and a great person to help support people in their lives. You know, are you just feeling electricity and that's it? I don't. I have no idea. I have no idea what it is. It's just a tingly. It's just a tingly. Oh, it's just a tingly feeling that I feel. I don't know if it's electricity. I don't know what it is. It just is a particular feeling. Yeah. Yeah, like if I meditate and stuff like that, I can start like kind of cultivating the feeling, and I can like move it around my body and stuff like that, and I can like feel it, and I can like make it overtake all of my body or just the half of my body or the other half of my body. Practicing yoga nidra will help this as well. I remember yoga nidra being really effective in like awakening that sensation in my body. If you're interested in practicing noticing the sensation and moving it around your body and stuff like that. Where did I do my energy healing training? Damn it, I forget what her name is. Crap. Like it was from this, yeah, I don't even remember what the course was. I remember just finding it online, some online person. I know that the teacher's name, her name was like Atea Lee. And I think she has a YouTube channel. So like you can look her up on YouTube and you can find her YouTube channel. She has like a bunch of like meditations on there. And I just like found her energy healer training. It's a pretty extensive course. There's a lot of information in there. It's kind of like a conglomeration of like research. It seems like it was a conglomeration of research that she's done that she kind of like turned into a course. So yeah, that you could look into that if you're interested. I don't even know if she still offers the course because it was like a year and a half ago, but yeah. And then Reiki itself isn't that bad. In Belgium, there are very few people who can do this. I'm sure, yeah, it's probably less popular in different areas. I think it's just picking up here in America because New Age spirituality is blowing up here, which is fun and scary, in my opinion. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I will, yeah, let me see if I can, let me actually go on here and see if I can find her channel. And then I can maybe see if I can get her name written down and then type it out. Okay. Yeah, here it is. Okay. So if you just here, I'm just going to send it in the comments. Okay. So yeah, she has a YouTube channel. Yeah. I don't remember. I can't even see if maybe it's the Golden Ray class. I don't know. Whatever. But here it is on the screen. If you see people on the screen, that's where that's at. And then you say, I can feel the energy pulsing in my hands. It reminds me of a magnet. Yeah. How do you get what to do with it? I think what to do with it is to just explore and experiment. And then even like things like like the idea of like being able to see auras and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know what that's about. I don't know what's going on. I don't understand it really. Like on a spiritual level, I can make up stuff to like say what it is, but like I want to understand like what is actually happening. That is like a burning curiosity. Like it's not enough for me to just say that it's, you know, it's the energy. Like what is the energy? What do I do with it? Like, you know what I mean? But just play around, explore, see what it feels like. You can watch, there's like videos if you want to learn how to play around with this stuff, if you want to learn how to imagine well and learn how to really kind of like unlock your imagination, you can definitely like watch a bunch of the videos on like things like forming chi energy balls in your hands and like practice like feeling the energy pulsing in your hands. Like what that, I'm pretty sure at the very least what that's doing is like you're kind of working on your maybe your emotional and imaginative like energy, or you're working on how to kind of like convince yourself of feeling things. And I think that it gives you not potential, an advantage when you're kind of like doing inner exploration. For example, I'm doing EMDR therapy right now. And one of the things that we do is we learn a lot of resourcing skills. And one of them is like a light stream meditation where we like imagine ourselves being like covered with light, and like it's supposed to be very healing experience. And like I've been able to like really make that a wonderfully blissful experience for me because of how well I can like kind of fall into that imaginary land. So I can use these things for my practical benefit when I need to do things like, you know, recover after a really tough EMDR session or something like that, or help calm myself down when I'm just regularly dysregulated or something like that. I'm learning how to kind of like connect to my body in a more intuitive way, how to like control. I don't want to say like how to control my nervous system, but how to be more, I guess, like in tune with it, because it's very possible to do things like control your heart rate and blood pressure and things like that from thinking about it. So why not learn how to kind of control this energy? So it's you and me, we'll be figuring this out together and trying to see what the heck is going on with this stuff. I don't know what it is. It's freaky, you know, freaky shit. But that's the thing, is just because it's freaky shit, like doesn't always mean that it's like ghosts or magic or something like that. Ooh, I have not heard of that. Neuro-emotional technique, but you know I'm going to look that up later today. Okay, I've started doing it a while ago, and I can't find much research to see if it really works. I don't know what that's about, but I'm definitely going to look into it now. Thanks for sharing. And yeah, if anyone else has any other thoughts about like any other systems that I didn't mention at all today, there's so much stuff that I didn't include in this episode because I just wanted to kind of get all the information out and stuff like that. But hopefully maybe next week we'll just watch a bunch of like other energy healing. We'll just look at a bunch of other energy healing modalities. This spiritual, this new age segment that I have going on is going to probably be really freaking long. I already have like 7 or 8 ideas. So that's at least 2 months of content. And some of these things are going to take more than 1 week. So keep like letting me know other thoughts you have about, you know, new age questions that you have. Some of you let me know your experiences. Reach out to me on Instagram and so we can chat, have conversations. That's pretty much it for me, guys. I'm surprised that I am still here. I thought I was going to do like half an hour and call it a day because I was feeling crappy. But I think you guys gave me some energy. I feel the love. But now I'm exhausted and I'm going to go take a nap. Or not, or just lay around and play games. Just who knows? All right, y'all. Thank you for being here with me today. Oh, yes. This is a good one. Oh, this is great. Yeah. We'll definitely talk about that. I'll put that on the list. Altered states of consciousness and accessing altered states of consciousness. That's a great topic, and I think that like one thing that I'm realizing is that it's easy to be in altered states of consciousness and not know it. That I'll start with that and leave that for leave that in your brains to tingle for a little while, because I'll leave a seed and then walk away. All right, y'all. I appreciate each and every one of you for showing up. Great to see all of you. You're all welcome. Like I said, reach out, ask me questions, leave other comments, etc. I'm peacing out for the day. Peace and love, my friends. I'll see you next time.